then he will.
Okay, no problem.
So let me formally welcome you. So we are meeting today to listen to Ashwin Shah, who is from Robofun Lab. He's coached multiple teams for FTC in the past. And thanks to him for helping us out every time we ask his help. We have all the team members here, Ashwin, and I would like to request you formally to talk to us about the importance of engineering notebook and how do we go about documenting the process so that by the end of the session, we don't miss the journey, right? I think the notebook is more about the journey than the output. So I wanted our students to understand the seriousness of the notebook and how we start the process of documenting every day. Yeah, over to you.
So basically, hi, Team Axiom. You are doing some good job, fantastic job in terms of like meeting new people, conducting some good robotics workshop. I have been following your journey. So that has been a good process, right? At the end of the day. So that is something that you are doing in a very good way, which is commendable, right? So now that you also have your robot parts and stuff with you, you will gradually start building your robot and then start testing your robot. And before that, you have already learned a lot about OnShape and you have learned about FTC Sim and stuff like that, so that your basics for CAD, for your basics for coding, everything is pretty clear, right? Again, yeah, sorry, but Viraj, I need your camera on. So, yeah, perfect. Okay. So, the exciting part, the more exciting part, your FTC journey is about to begin because all your resources are with you and you will be full-time indulged in building your own robots and then trying to crack the challenge, trying to place the cons and stuff like that, right? So that is how it's going to be. But what happens is, while you're doing a lot of work and you will be putting a lot of hard work and effort to be a part of this competition called First Tech Challenge, whatever you are doing, except of your robot game, right? Whatever you are doing over the period of 4 months, 5 months, whether it is about your efforts of raising funds, whether it is about your efforts of spreading awareness about STEM and robotics and stuff like that, you are going to be judged in precisely 10 minutes. Your 6 months worth of work is going to be judged in precisely 10 minutes in the interview room, and then 5-10 minutes of the judges interaction at your stall, right? So we can say that all in all, you are going to get 20 minutes max to get judged for the kind of efforts that you have put in and for the kind of awards that you have applied for, right? And when this is the scenario, when this is the case, what is very, very important is to document everything that you are doing in a very readable yet a very attractive manner, so that when you go to the competition, after the interview processes, you can leave your resources with the judges, so that if you have made a mark during your presentation, they will have an urge to look at the kind of work that you have done in more detail before they come up to the conclusion for different awards, right? And the process of documenting your day-to-day activities pertaining to FTC is culminated in a book called Engineering Notebook, right? So when we talk about engineering notebook, it is not a 1 day, 1 week, or like a 2 week long process. Engineering notebook is essentially a daily process that you will have to stick to. So basically, everyone will have to cultivate a habit of like writing a daily log, right? And how it begins is like you need to study like more in detail from the resources page of first website or an FTC website about what is engineering notebook, what all should your engineering notebook consist of, right? And then what you should also do is you should scroll through some of the best engineering notebooks of the FTC teams as recommended by FTC itself. Probably from Robofun Lab, Team Sigma and Team Lab Fusion, and all of them also would be more than happy to have a session with you guys, showcase their past engineering notebooks and see so that you can see what is it that they have done in past which have helped them ace their communication with the judges, right? That's the whole idea. So what you have to do now is, even if you have not recorded, even if you have not documented anything that you have done thus far, what you should do, what you should focus before you start building your robot with the resources for next 3-4 days is you should focus on having a comprehensive engineering notebook, right? Essentially, what happens is engineering notebook. Let me share my screen. Essentially, an engineering notebook would, okay, is my screen visible? Let me reshare. Let me reshare. I'm sorry. Okay. So basically, your engineering notebook essentially consists about like about us, right? So something more in detail about your team. So you can have detailed team description, which includes individuals as well as mentors, right? Then you have to talk about your engineering log. So here you describe about like your day-to-day engineering activities. So what was the problem statement that you started with? What was the process that you went through? And what has been the end outcome? You can also discuss more in detail about the kind of problems you faced while you were trying to solve the main problem. And how did you try to come up with the solutions so that you can actually address the problem statement and you can successfully overcome that problem, right? So this is all about the engineering log. So this can start from your CAD training, right? Then various things that you are doing on CAD, then various things that you are doing on 3D printing, then your robot building journey, right? Then your coding journey, and then about your route map or say your strategy for autonomous as well as teleop and things like this. This is covered in your engineering log. Usually this engineering log is as long as around 120, 130 pages in a detailed engineering book, because that is the kind of work that you would have done before you enter the competition arena. So this is very important. Second part of it is mentioning about your community outreaches, right? So it starts with like what has been your vision when you designed your community outreach programs, what has been your execution, what has been your impact. So for each community outreach that you do, you can dedicate at least 1 and at the most 2 pages where you are talking about it and then you are also displaying pictures about it, right? So that you are proving your point. And the last but not the least is the fundraising aspect that comes into it. So here your business plan gets into the picture. Then your corporate meetings. How did it go? What was the conclusion of the corporate meeting? What was the fund that you raised? And eventually fund utilization. That how you actually used that fund to support the point that you have put forward to raise the funds, right? So this is your major outline for an engineering notebook. And if you put in proper efforts to make a good engineering notebook, then towards the end, maybe 15 days or 20 days before the competition, making an engineering portfolio will be a cheesecake walk for you, right? But if you mess around with this process of maintaining the engineering notebook, trust me, you will be at loss. Making a 180, 200 page notebook, which is very, very content oriented, which is very, very detail oriented, which has charts, which has graphs, which has sketches and multiple other stuff included in it, with almost daily sort of photographs, is not a small thing, and your documentation is going to play a very, very important role when you go to FTC competition, right? Then probably maybe a month before the competition, we can have a detailed conversation about how an engineering portfolio should look like. How should we index the engineering portfolio? How should we put in the content in the engineering portfolio so that it comes out very effective to the judges, right? So that is the whole process that you need to follow. But engineering notebook, so how you usually should do is everybody should take up some responsibility. So the first step to design or say to work on the engineering notebook is to design the templates. What would be the data input template for the engineering aspect? What will be the data input template for the community outreach aspect? What would be the template to put the data for the fundraising aspect? Right? So you need to design 3 different templates. Apart from that, you also need to design a basic template or roll out a Google form amongst all of you to gather the information about each individual and a good photograph along with your mentor. So what happens is, okay, so when I want to talk about Aditya in about a segment, meet our team, and then you can go alphabetically. So Aditya, so then Aditya's photo comes in, and then there is a text about Aditya, whatever Aditya has already submitted, right? That, okay, this is something about Aditya. So then Aditya can write 5 statements about himself and submit on a Google form, right? And this is how you collect the data for your entire team. And then you can have an engineering notebook captain who is like overlooking at the entire process, and you can divide the works amongst the sub small teams. So like you can form a small sub team who will always take care of the engineering aspect of the engineering notebook. So those are the 3, 4 or 2 students who are responsible to maintain the daily log in the engineering notebook in the specified template that US Team Axiom has agreed upon, right? And then there can be 2, 3 students who are always going to look into the community outreach part. And then the same set of students can always look into the business part as well, right? So that is how you should divide your roles and responsibilities, and then you should work. But I believe that if you maintain discipline for your engineering notebook, you will be at very, very eased stage towards the end as far as making banners for your stall are concerned, making an engineering portfolio is concerned, making some good brochures for your team is concerned. Everything, your engineering notebook will be your Bhagavad Gita, and then from there you will take excerpts and then you will start building different resources to be there at your stall. Right? So that is how it should be. That is how it should be. And trust me, it is not necessary that you write long texts into it, but it should be very detail oriented. It should be very specific, right? So you should not bluff about anything. Be true to the process that you have adhered to, but document it very well. That's it.
Other than engineering notebook, there are more things that you talked about. So you said that we need to have a portfolio, and so I think we are not aware about this.
I will make you aware. So maybe a month before the competition. So my whole thing is you should focus very, very sharply on making an engineering notebook, and also ensure that before they are handed over with the robot parts for robot building, whatever you have done until now, whether it is about their skill building, or it is about your outreaches, or it is about your fundraising, whatever you have done, it should be complete. It should be complete. And then you should just add it on the daily basis. Because once these kids will make their hands dirty on the robot, they will not come back to the engineering notebook. So they should not be handed over anything pertaining to the robot until engineering notebook is in place and is up to date.
Okay. Makes sense.
Right? Because else, towards the end, the way you will struggle will be like, you will neither be able to focus on robot nor will be able to focus on your documentation.
Okay, I think now it is the best time to ask Venkatesh to present, and then I think we can resume the discussion, because there we'll get a little idea as to where we are right now.
Sure.
Venkatesh? Others who have not put on their camera, Parth, Vignesh, Samihan, Aryan, why? You need a special invitation to put on your cameras?
Yes, sir. So this is a presentation on what we have done till now. First, let's start with the building aspect. So we have started with building, and this all will be documented in our engineering notebook. Each team member is filling a daily diary on an Excel sheet, so in order to maintain a record. Then we have separate teams: building team, programming team, and finance team and all. So we have also started making a 3D model of our robot on Onshape. Then we are also building the base of our robot simultaneously, and the printed parts were also received by the team on 28th of December by the IT minister. And we also got the cloth 3D printed. Then here we have our outreach activities. So we have currently done to almost 80 plus people, 80 plus students and some elders who are like enthusiasts of robotics. Then this is our index for the engineering notebook. We would like you to see this and then give us some suggestions on what else we could add in the in the engineering notebook index. I'll just share this after a while.
And okay, fine.
Then we have just a few questions. Now, Team Lab Fusion has done outreach to almost more than 40,000 people. Then how can we do that outreach? Because in Goa, it's not possible to like find, mostly.
Okay. And
Yeah.
the second
And then
question is some suggestions in the index. Okay, fine. Can you go back to the previous slide?
Even we have our website that was fully made of GitHub.
Okay. So basically in this index, you don't need the first part, like what is first. You don't need it in the engineering notebook. So I believe you should not, I don't see it as a necessity. Meet the team and then outreach.
It's blue on blue. Venkatesh, difficult to see. Can
That's
you change the
okay.
color?
That's okay. That's okay for now.
While printing it, it comes white.
So CAD and building the robot and programming and stuff like that are the part of the engineering log, right? So it should come as subtopics under the engineering log, so that you have three major sections in your engineering notebook. One is talking about the engineering logs, one is talking about the outreaches, and one is talking about the fundraising.
Okay.
Also, based on my discussion, one thing missing on the finance part is the business plan.
Okay. So should we change this like to subtopic?
Right.
CAD.
Right. You should.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. Fine. You can go to the next slide. Perfect. So these are my inputs. And you should have your engineering notebook ready, like up to date until today on Canva, the one that you are going to use to print it. Okay. So
I had a little different of opinion here, Ashwin. So there is Git, right? So Git has a way of writing also collaboratively. So I want them to learn to use Git through this method of writing the engineering notebook also. Although it looks little difficult in the beginning. So since the website is already on Git, we have also put the notebook also on the Git. So at least kids will learn how to truly collaborate. There will be a little learning curve, but we intend to export the entire book through Git itself.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe like the document, right? You have this help manuals, right? Everybody has the help manuals on Git. So something like that. You're building the whole manual on Git itself. So by that, everybody's contribution, because it gives you the tag, right? Who contributed for what.
Okay. Okay. But then it will not be in a formatted manner, right?
Yeah, I agree. Then we'll have to export and maybe then design it. But at least at least we can showcase that what I was trying to say.
What you can do is you can add data on GitHub, right? But at the same time, you should have somebody in the team who adds that data in the Canva format.
Ultimately.
Not ultimately. It should be a daily process, because else it will be a long task. Because the kind of engineering notebook that you will get towards the end will be 220, 250 pages as well. You never know.
Okay.
So then you should make it a daily activity.
If we make it a daily activity, then how do we know that these pages are frozen, designed and done?
See, it's all about putting it in the format, right? Once you cross-check the content, only then you put it in the template. That's it.
For example, about us can go directly. We don't need to wait for the next 2 months.
Right,
yeah.
right.
So
Even
Venkatesh, what
any
is
outreach that you have
yeah.
done, say for example, you have done
Yeah.
3 outreaches, right? Once you finalize that, okay, this is the final content, it can directly go in the template. That shouldn't be a problem.
So Venkatesh was telling me about this. So Venkatesh, you have got a green signal now. Whatever pages you want to freeze with a template, you can finish it in Canva now and keep it ready.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
And one more thing, Ashwin sir, could you just tell us like how to do that outreach question I asked?
Basically, apart from doing this outreaches on one-to-one basis or like small community basis, you should look at some mass promotions where there are so many people coming in and then they are looking at your robot. You are interacting with so many people over the period of time. So mass outreaches, we call it as mass outreaches, where we reach out to n number of people at a go. So that is how you are able to achieve the numbers.
Okay, sir.
Any example idea when what you mean by mass outreach?
Exhibitions and stuff.
So we participate in exhibition, have a stall, and people visit us, and that's how you mean.
Right. Because you are spreading that awareness, right? Because people become inquisitive about it.
Any other questions? Anybody? Venkatesh, anything else that we need to discuss?
No, sir. So now I can start designing it on Canva.
But we need to share the template and fix everybody's responsibility. Otherwise, how would anybody know what is their job in the engineering notebook?